You good?
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Fresh
Good.
clock.
Big fish in a small pond.
Yeah. So
Cliffhanger right there.
part of me was and I mean I don't know if this is pride getting in the way, but part of me was like trying to maintain the mentality that I'm going to have the big fish effect in any atmosphere. And so that was the thing that was telling me like, oh, like try to go to the highest division that you can, try to go to the highest division that you can.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to be more realistic and take a more realistic approach to my situation and understand what I'm capable of and where I can really thrive.
Mm-hmm.
And so after that conversation with him, he kind of talked me into considering Division III much more than I was previously. And then so eventually I made the grand decision of staying at the Division III level. And so I guess that's how I ended up at Fredonia State first and then at Pearce.
Gotcha. How long did you stay there at the previous?
I was at Fredonia State for only my freshman year, and then I transferred and I was at Pearce for the last three.
How do you pronounce it? Fredonius?
F like Fred Onia. So Fredonia State.
Okay. I don't think I heard that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And where's that at? That's in New York?
Yeah, it's in Western New York.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I think that as far as like the high school athletes that are coming out and are thinking Division I or bust, that it's just such a crippling mentality.
Yeah.
Because you're automatically cutting off so many other possible opportunities for yourself. College is so much more than the name of the institution or the name of the division in which you play at. Like just as you said earlier about your friend, and I've got friends that play overseas currently that I played with at the Division III level. There are so many more opportunities that can come from thriving in a good basketball atmosphere. Because again, like as we said earlier, it really is a tool.
Mm. Mm. What kind of advice? I mean, these are bizarre times we're living in right now. This is not something we've seen. Even people that are much older than us haven't seen things like this, as far as staying in the house and all that other stuff with this coronavirus thing going on. What things would you suggest student athletes that want to stay sharp to do during these times when they can't go in the gym, they can't go work out? What would you suggest? What would you do if you were in their shoes right now?
So first, I want to offer a mentality that they should have, and I have a little brother. He's 17 right now, and his AAU season obviously got put on pause or possibly canceled. So first, approaching these times, you got to have the opportunity. Have the mentality that other people may not have the resources to continue to get shots up or get the best form of training in. And so if you do have personal access, whether that's in your house or in an environment where you're not going to put others at risk with the coronavirus, then utilize those resources. You want to come out of this thing with the biggest advantage that you can.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of people are going to come out of this rusty, regardless of whatever line of work they're in. But with that being said, there are plenty of other people that are doing anything and everything that they can within their own personal means, whether that's just in the house, to stay sharp. And so that's kind of more so the approach that I've been having. A lot of guys are going to have to end up going back to school for the last month or month and a half. So do not neglect any opportunity to keep your mind sharp. I highly suggest reading a book, even if it's a book about basketball, or just continue to read. You don't want to fall off academically and then go into the summer where that drop off is significantly more on the academic side. So that's number one. And then number two, as far as athletically, I suggest that everyone stretches every night, foam roll. Those are the two things that you can do regardless of whether you're sore or not. Push-ups, anything calisthenics. YouTube has a wide variety of different things that you can do and try out. And then yoga on YouTube. My sister's doing that right now.
Yeah.
She's found a channel that she really likes, and she tunes in. I don't know if it's every other day or on a daily basis. But there are so many different things online that you can tap into to make sure that you stay sharp and ready to go as soon as you get out. And then I was on Instagram today, and I saw Duncan Robinson. He made a video, and Junior NBA posted it, and it was more so him just showing some shooting drills that you can do without a basket. But there are so many different things that you can do with the basketball, whether it's ball handling or working on your form while you're home. So
you said something at the beginning of that as far as reading the book. Were you well read? I don't know if I asked you this question in our first interview this on YouTube.
So
were you well read before you got to college?
No.
Okay.
No, I was not well read before I got to college. And that's that's partially because, again, as I was saying before, in middle school, I didn't see the value, or I didn't value knowledge the way that I do now.
Mm-hmm.
And so had I had that same perspective going through high school, I would have been much more well-read going into college.
Yeah.
Now, that's not to say that, like, in high school, I was a great student.
Yeah.
I was on the honor roll and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as, like, taking my individual time to read, I was not doing that.
Yeah.
And so now I do try to push myself to make sure that I read. Like, I have the USA Today app. Add nothing else. If you don't have a book that you guys are reading, keep up with current events.
Yeah.
I can't stress that enough, especially now that we have the technology where it can remind us when a new article comes out about something that we're interested. All you have to do is set those notifications. You click the notifications, you read the article. Boom. It keeps you so much sharper. So
yeah, I'm big on reading now because in the sense that I tell student athletes that a big part of my learning curve, I'm trying to scroll through here to see if anybody is sending any comments or any questions or whatnot. I don't see any questions. But a big thing as far as college is concerned, aside from time management, is being able to process all that information in a short amount of time. And I found that the students that are more well-read, they have a diet of reading early on in life, they don't have to continue to read the same things over. Me, myself, I didn't read my first real book with some size, some girth until my junior year in college.
Right.
And it was because the professor challenged me to do it. It was a great book. I still remember that book now. But if I would have had that reading appetite from day one, when I was studying for these classes, Max, I could have read the doggone chapter one time and been done with it. But I'm over there going over it again and again and again because I can't retain the information because I don't have an appetite for reading. So that's why I'm really big on student athletes, or just students in general, developing that discipline of sitting down and reading.
Yeah.
You know?
That's such a good point. That is such a good point. Because I remember going through the same thing. And even in high school, I would legitimately read the same thing over and over.
Me,
because I just wasn't accustomed enough, or I didn't seek the value enough in reading in prior years.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, no, that's my story. I'm doing the Division III player that I told you about, Dre Baldwin, that you said you already knew about, from Penn State, Altoona. Work on your game. He has a YouTube channel. He's been in since 2006 or whatnot. I'm reading that book now. I'll do a book report and put that on the channel just to get student athletes to start thinking more about reading. Like, see if I can get a book in, if not every week, every 2 weeks, and do a book review and say, well, I think you should read this book. Now, some of these books may not make it to the book review because I don't feel like they're a good read for me personally. But for the ones that I got a lot from, I want to try to bring them to the channel and make sure that student athletes know, like, hey, man, this is something that you should be you should think about reading. So,
Right.
yeah, man. So what's next for you? I'll cut you off.
No, it's cool. It's cool. Right now, I mean, I think that what's next question for a lot of people is kind of up in the air just because of all of the things that have been canceled or postponed.
Yeah.
But I can say this. Obviously, I don't go live very often. And if I do, I've always been heavily invested in what we're talking about now, but I always use other avenues and other outlets to address it. And I don't know why I never thought about using Instagram Live to do this, but I'm going to do this on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing that I can tell everyone to look forward to, because regardless of whether we're in quarantine for the next 20 years, I'll always be able to go Instagram Live and have these conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. Same with me. Me. There's a lot of value in it, and I just want to be a resource. I mean, if you are who you say you are, which I know both of us are, is making sure that you open up that window for people to kind of shoot questions your way and say, look, man, I'm going through this process. That's the name of the game, man. So I want to make sure they can do. I don't want to be hard to find, you know. And I've been very adamant. I had somebody asking me in my inbox. I'll get back to them. So if you're in this live, don't take this in disrespect. I just haven't got back to you yet. But he asked me, Bill, what do you think about? Can you do a video about reclassifying as a senior? Max, I don't know anything about reclassifying. This thing is big. Like, this thing is new to us. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the promise that I'm always going to have is, if you ask me a question, if I don't know the answer, I don't know the answer. And I'm not going to just drum up some top 5 ways to reclassify. I need to be more knowledgeable about that.
Right.
And that's what you're going to get from me, and that's what you're going to get from the channel. Hope louder. So.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing that I really commend you on, because you know, maintaining transparency with your followers and anyone who wants to come and check out your content is really important, because a lot of times, especially with the social media thing, again, it's just a highlight reel of what everyone has accomplished. No one shows, or very few people show, what it takes to get to those certain accomplishments or certain rooms, if you will. And so I think that's why I'm that much more compelled to try and show a lot of my misses, especially within like the dunks, because I noticed that a lot of the other just athletes in the dunk world, and this is just one niche. A lot of the other athletes, they will never ever show a miss. And I'm not sure why. I'm not sure whether it's because they're afraid of being judged. At you
like you're more human now?
Yeah, like no one has ever made every shot, whatever it is that you do in life. No one is 100%. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, the theme that we're suggesting by showing only our highlights, it's almost like forcing people to rush, because people are thinking that they aren't able to keep up with everyone else, or keep up with all of their other peers. So, like, all of my news feed that I see, obviously it's accomplishment, regular picture here, etc. But in the back of my mind, I know that behind those pictures, there's a ton of work being put in. There's a whole bunch of trials and tribulations that are going on. And I think it's important to keep that mindset, because otherwise it will speed you up.
I think with your content, at least I can only speak from the way I ingest it is or consume it is, I appreciate it I appreciate it for different things. I appreciate it, one, because your height, your story. I appreciate it because you do show the misses as well. And I think that a lot of times people appreciate, well, I know I appreciate it when you're able to slow some of that stuff down. Because when it happens so fast, it's just like it's like a blur in the sense of like we can't process what just happened. And
Yeah,
then when you play
yeah.
it back again, like I cannot believe he bounced the ball, reached back, and then knew where it was at, and then caught a baseball at the same time. Like it's throws you for a loop. So for those reasons, I think your content is unique, and that's it just stands apart from everybody else's because, like you said, a lot of people are just once they make the dunk, they film that, and that's it.
Yep.
Almost like they're embarrassed to say that they messed up. It's funny because I just highlighted Patrick Beverly from Chicago. He played down in Arkansas, and he talks about in one of his in the podcast with Knuckleheads with Derrick Smiles and Quentin Richardson. He talks about we're in a culture where people are just so worried about the oohs and the ahs. He said, when I go up there, I'm D'ing up to whoever the best player is, and I'm not going to flinch. He said, if I fall, then so what? I'm going to get up and keep going. Yeah. And I just think that's huge for people to understand that. That's kind of going back to what you said is you're not going to dunk at that volume and not miss. Yeah. You're not going to, if you really play defense, if you really stick to playing defense, someone's going to get the best of you. Yeah. Like if you go up there and you want to be a shot blocker, like when I think of shot blockers, I think about Alonzo Mourning and Dikembe Mutombo, who led the league in shot blocks. Throughout those same years they led the league, they got dunked on. Yeah. It's a part of it, right? Yep. But so many people, and that's the metaphor for life in the sense of there's so many people, Max, that won't even put their name in the hat because they're like, well, I don't want the embarrassment of if I don't make it. Exactly. If I don't make it, then I don't want to touch that. I only want to do it. I mean, you know, cats from your high school, just like I do it from my high school and in college, that was good enough to make a team, but decided not to go out for it because of the embarrassment of if they did not make it. Yeah. Don't talk to that girl because she may say no. Don't apply for that job or don't go for that major because I may get a D or F in the class. I may have to retake it again. So what? If that's what you want to do, man, you apply yourself. You may scrape yourself up in the process. You're going to have some misses. You dust yourself off and you just keep going. Man, that is a gem right there, bro. Yeah, man. So Patrick Beverly, but yeah, man, I definitely kept you beyond my stay. I'm trying to look back at because people wanted me to ask you questions about. I think I asked you this. Was it tough? Was it tough for you as far as when you realized that you were a Division III player, or you were born Division III? You kind of touched on that as far as the whole big fish mentality and. You feel like, regardless of where I go, I'm going to have the mentality that I want to be the biggest fish there regardless. Yeah, man. That's who have you met throughout this process that's just kind of like maybe shaking you up a little bit? You're just like, oh, wait a minute. You in the room. Like, you're actually here. I can touch you now. Like, have you had that starstruck mentality at all or no? So maybe I've definitely had the reaction where it's like, oh, I did not expect this person to react to a video or acknowledge me or be in the room. There are a short list of people that I would be flat out starstruck for. But let's see. So Stephen Curry, that whole TNT bit was really cool for me. Tracy McGrady, Paul Pearce. They mentioned you, or you talked to them? No, that. Oh. Gotcha. Well, some of this is like a mixture because I've like fully interacted with Steph, got to know him. But for like T-Mac and some of them, I've never interacted with them. They've just highlighted whatever it is that I've posted. Yeah. Reese Witherspoon, like. Some people that I just completely out of left field. Usain Bolt. Whew. Just I don't know. I try not to think about that. So I really have to think hard about it. Yeah. But there's been a few. There have definitely been a few. And then All-Star Weekend this year was probably the best weekend of my life. Because I strategically released that last viral dunk during that week because I knew that it was going to circulate. And so once I got out there, it was incredible, the recognition league-wide that it got.
producer of TNT came up to me and she was just going on about the dunk and then wanted to know more. Like Dwight Howard wanted to do that dunk in the contest.
Oh yeah, you did see. I did see you with Dwight Howard.
Yeah, and like just so many other players in the league that just took notice and paid their respects, and it was really cool to see, because at that point it kind of let me know that, especially within the league, they don't care about Division III product, Division IX product. They don't care about that. Like if you're a decent human being and you're good at what you do and you take pride in what you do, then you will get the respect that you deserve. And so that was a really cool realization for me.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a private conversation or not, so if you don't answer this, then don't answer it, and I'll just ask you later. But I know you're intellectual as far as your approach, as far as student athletes and being able to be an advocate for them in that regard. But you are still young enough, and you're still in your 20s in the sense of, like, have you ever thought about like having some type of dunk clinics or anything like that? Because I know there's so many people running at you saying, I want to jump like you, and they probably forget about the whole Division III thing, but they see the dunk thing daily. Yeah. Is that something that maybe in the future, aside from Fly Nance, moving forward, or is that like?
Yeah. So I guess that's kind of more like a public service in some way.
Gotcha.
I'm definitely working on a jump program that I'm going to release that people can use to hopefully jump higher, dunk better. As far as a dunk clinic, I do think that I could do that on occasion. I don't know how regular that would be, because there are a lot of other things that I want to coordinate first. Yeah. And at the same time, one of my frustrations with my career to this day is that to a lot of people, I have boxed myself in to being strictly an athlete or strictly a dunker. And
they must not know about Fly Nance then.
Right. Yeah. And I take pride in my depth as a human.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the molds that I'm trying to break.
Sure.
Especially right now.
And that's why I asked a question like that, because I know in our first conversation, we were kindred spirits from that regard of saying, like, no, we are worried about the student athlete holistically, not just if you can dribble or jump high,
Right. Exactly.
That is something that you have in your bag of tricks that's different from others, like the things that you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that one of the other reasons why that does frustrate me is because, like, right now there's like 30 people in the live.
Yeah.
If I was up here talking about how to jump higher, it would be 4 times more people.
No doubt, yeah.
Whenever I make a post, like last year, I was doing these homeless runs, and I was basically collecting items and like literally hand delivering these items to the homeless in New York City. Whenever I made a post about that, it would be a fraction of the normal engagement that I would get for a dunk. And I don't know whether that's more telling about my followers or whether that's more telling about the Instagram algorithm. But you know that the algorithm prioritizes things that the followers want to see. So I can't tell if people are scrolling past it or if they're just not seeing it.
Let me say this. There are some people out there, and I know you and I are not in this because we want to make a gazillion dollars or whatnot, but there are people out there that are doing what some people will say is horrible as far as view count online, but what it is a catalog of what they stand for, and they get booked for different sessions because of that. Not because they got millions of views,
right?
But because they have that. But on top of that, I face the same thing with YouTube, and I don't put a lot of candy out for YouTube. Like, say, for instance, I have one that says something along the lines of how to read. I feel bad for even saying this, but it's the best I can come up with. It was something along the lines of like, how to read the defense like a pro or whatnot, right? So it's clickbait like a mug, like right? Because it has nothing to do with reading the defense. It has everything to do with about being having an appetite for reading in college and being more literate. And,
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to put a thumbnail for that, and people would be clicking on it because people don't
Yeah.
want to hear about why they should be reading. So how do you put the candy in the medicine, and so they actually get there and they consume it, and they actually get some type of nutritional value from it? That's the age-old question, man. I'm still trying to figure that out myself.
Me too, man. It's crazy, and I think that the way that you start out is so crucial, because had I understood this whole dynamic with social media and how followers treat your content, then I would have tried to diversify my content long ago. As soon as I got a little bit of a platform, I would have tried to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's obviously it's better late than never.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna fix it, but I know it's definitely gonna take some time because they got to get accustomed to these different sides of me. And so I've lost a whole bunch of followers in the last maybe month or so. That's because the second I post an injury, people are leaving. The second I post something that is slightly educational or insightful or informative, people don't want to see that. And in the beginning, like I was frustrated about that, but now I just understand, like, if you don't want to see that, you don't want to see that, and you're not mandated to pay attention to everything that I share. But I just respect the people who appreciate that kind of valuable content much more than I respect the people who aren't here for it.
Yeah. I mean, I fall into that gap myself in the sense of I put out my fair share of videos about 5 tips on making it a Division I, things like that. I've done that. And they were valid. They're videos that you can take to the bank. There's no flowery in that, but I'd much rather help you figure out what school is the best for you.
Right.
I'd much rather you walk away from the game of basketball and feel like you use it as a tool and it didn't use you as a tool. I'd much rather equip you than I would enable you. That's just my thing. So I'm still trying to figure that out. I feel like my YouTube subscribers are suffering from that regard, but it's cool, man. I enjoy it. So at the end of the day, when they lay me to rest, hopefully 80 years from now, I can look back and say, I did my best.
Right.
I did my best.
That's what counts, man.
I did my best.
That's what counts.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, Max, that's all I got for you, man. What are the best ways for people to get a hold of you as far as social media? Is Instagram your bread and butter?
Yeah, Insta. I finally got all my platforms on the same username. So
I saw you on TikTok too. You.
Yep. Instagram, TikTok, everything is all the same. Maxwell Pearce. But and I mean, again, this is like, well, actually, we're both live. But tell my people where they can find you at, because you've got some great stuff. You really do.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, man. So for me, you can find me on YouTube at Hoop Loudy. That's in the back. So Hoop Loudy, Hoop Basketball Loudy, graduation with distinction, like some cum laude and whatnot. The same thing is for Instagram, which I have right now. And the same thing for TikTok. But I don't want to scare you on TikTok, okay? TikTok is just my guy Stretch, all right? You're not going to see my face on TikTok. I have a mascot. I will never allow you to call him a mascot. This is the only time in the comments you want to call him a mascot. You call him that now, but his name is Stretch. And I got this conversation with the athletic director that allows Stretch to be at his basketball tournament. And he asked me, he said, so who's inside the giraffe? And I said, this is my first deal. Like, it's my first gig. I'm supposed to be like humble and like just so happy to be in the room. I looked at him with all seriousness. I said, I can't tell you that, sir. He says, and why not? Because mind you, he has 35 different teams from around the state that's going to be there. So he's like, and why not? And I said, because when you go to Disney World, you don't ask who's inside of Mickey Mouse. And he just looked at me and started laughing. So, yeah, his name is Stretch. stretch. He's on TikTok, man. He's trying to do all the dances that, you know, the younger demographics are doing, and just having a lot of fun, man. We chose a giraffe because it's the only animal that has an aerial perspective, so it can see the big picture, but feet are flat on the ground, so it doesn't lose context with reality. And that's the same ability and mindset we want for our student athletes. So that's why I chose a giraffe, and he's depicted right here as well. But he has a graduation cap on, so head over to TikTok, if you will. I do duets with people. One of my pet peeves, no, I don't know if you have content like this, but one of my pet peeves on TikTok, Max, is when people don't let me duet them. Like, they don't let me, like, you know what I'm saying, when you do the side-by-side screen.
Yeah.
I hate that, man. They were doing some dance, but like, oh, yeah, we're going to duet this tonight. It's like, oh, they're not accepting duets. I'm like, oh, my gosh. Burns me up. So, yeah, if y'all want to rock with me on TikTok, then I'd appreciate that. But all my tips on how I can help you as far as being a student athlete is on YouTube.
Yes. Absolutely, bro. I'm actually gonna text you after this because I do have some future ideas that I want to involve you in. So
Gotcha.
I'll send you a text right after this.
Gotcha. That's cool, man. We talked about it. Well, I put this on the text as well, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, man. I appreciate it. Keep doing your thing, man.
Yeah,
you got a
too,
fan
bro.
down here. I'm singing your praises from every rooftop. Division III player.
I appreciate it.
NBA 2K, Globetrotter. We didn't even get into that. The whole Globetrotter. Like, I've been watching that mascot. I study mascots now. I know about y'all got two different mascots.
Yeah.
I know some of your routine. Man, I don't own this, Max. I don't own this. You hear me? I don't play around with the mascot deal. But doing phenomenal stuff, man. And so proud of you. So happy for you, man. And looking for your brother Ben is his name, right?
Yep.
Ben coming through. I'm ready to see some of his stuff that he's gonna follow your footsteps and hopefully exceed and do his thing as well, man. We're rocking with you all the way down in the South. So I appreciate you.
Too, man. You too, man. I appreciate it, bro.
All right, man. Take care, man.
All right, bro. You too.
All right, peace.